welcome to another episode. This is episode 3 of Positive Vibes Only with your host, me, your boy, Mike Lana. And I thank all you for tuning in. For those that are listening to my podcast for the first time, I basically created this podcast so I can create positivity. My own version of it. A lot of people have their positive approach, the different approach to positivity. But hey, this is my own journey, spreading positivity, spreading love, spreading happiness. So let's dive into episode 3. And speaking of happiness, that's exactly what this episode is. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. Finding happiness within. The power of self-love. Now, I know we hear it a lot. We hear self-love. The only way you can love others is if you love yourself. And it is absolutely true. You cannot do anything in this world. You cannot really approach people. You can't proceed. You can't. It's hard to cope with the things that you're around, that you're going through, that you're dealing with, the problems, the situations. It's hard to approach these things with a positive mindset, especially if you don't even have self-love. You can't even take care of yourself. You ever notice someone that doesn't love themselves? I mean, and we all see it. You can clearly see someone that doesn't have that self-love. You can see it from a mile away. Whether they're walking down the street, whether they somebody you met at a party or something like that. Oh, that's better. Had to lower my chair a little bit. Somebody you met at a party. Just people's demeanor. You know what they say, people wear their feelings on their sleeve. You can clearly tell when someone doesn't have self-love. They're down, they're depressed. They always have something negative to say. You try to cheer them up. They come back with something bad to say, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, come on, cheer up. It's going to be a good day. Today especially is supposed to be a good day. Today is Memorial Day. I'm shooting my podcast on Memorial Day. I was supposed to make this episode earlier, but better late than never, huh? So speaking of better late than never, let's just dive into this episode here. The power of self-love. So basically, what I'm going to be talking about is several things that has to deal with self-love. And I did my research. And I found a lot of interesting things when it comes to self-love. But basically, I want to talk about compassion. I want to talk about overcoming that self-doubt. I want to talk about that inner beauty that we all have. Because we all have that inner beauty. We just have to find it. We haven't found it. Most of us haven't found it. Most of us are still looking. We look in the mirror and we be like, we always have something that we don't like about ourselves. But the power to get over that is tremendous. So, inner beauty, healing past wounds, because you got to deal with the past. You can't move on until you deal with the past. The role of self-care. Embracing your authentic self, your imperfection, and celebrating your wins. I'm going to talk about all of that. Now, I'm not going to go deep into it. But, just general aspects of what self-love is. Now, when it comes to self-compassion, we're going to talk about that. When it comes to self-compassion, it's really about how we can transform our relationship with ourselves. Like I said, we look in the mirror. We look at things that we don't like. We say things to ourselves that we don't like. We don't like the way we speak. We don't like how we look in public. We don't like our weight. We don't like the way we smile. I mean, it's a lot of things, but we have to transform that relationship with ourselves. And I know you're asking, like, how can I transform? For those that are having issues with it, I know you're asking yourself, how can I transform a relationship with myself? How can you transform a relationship with yourself? Now, a lot of people don't think about that. We always talking about, with others. How can we make a better relationship with our loved ones or with our spouse or whatever. But think about it. Look in the mirror. I want you to look in the mirror. If you're listening to this, even if you're driving, I want you to look in the mirror, look in your rear view, whatever. And if you're having issues with yourself, I want you to ask yourself, how can I transform my relationship with myself? And the biggest thing we deal with is insecurities. Hey, I'm insecure. I've gotten over a lot of stuff. And there's stuff I still have to deal with, but it's not on a level of me not having any self-love for myself, because I love every bit of me. There's a lot of things I want to fix. I still love the way I am, though. You know, I have insecurities with my smile. Everybody knows. If you've seen my videos, if you've seen my YouTube and my TikToks and my Instagrams, you know, I barely smile. I barely smile. You know, I have issues. I used to have issues, you know, when it comes to my grill. You know, and, you know, it's a little out of place. Hey, I make fun of myself, too. But I love it. I love the way I am. I've never had issues with any relationships or anything. It is just that self-insecurity. You think you're not good enough. Your weight. I'm a small guy. Very small guy. Not very small. Let me take that back. I'm overdoing it. I'm not like super small. I'm about the size I should be for my height, my weight, or whatnot. But to me, in my eyes, I think I'm small. And, you know, I'd be like, man, I need to gain some weight. I need to eat more. Like, I want to be, like, big and buff. And, you know, after a while, you kind of realize, hey, maybe my genetics just doesn't allow me to get that big. But I still love who I am. I'm that skinny, sexy guy that everyone wants to be with. And that's how you got to look at yourself. That's what I mean by transform that relationship with yourself. Not personally, but you ever seen a relationship where the other person is always talking down on their spouse, especially them abusive relationships? Or not even abuse, I don't want to say that. But relationships that tend to be good in the beginning, and then they slowly die out because you looking at that person and you're saying, it's not just what it used to be. I seen something before, but I definitely don't see that now. Or, you know, things just are not the same. So you have those couples that probably go through counseling or whatever, and basically it's the same thing. You're transforming your relationship with that person who you're saying is, man, it's just not the same anymore. And so you have to look back at the things you did like when you first met. What was it that caught your eye? You gotta bring that flame back. You bring that spice back. Now, this is the same thing. You gotta bring that spice back with yourself. If you lost yourself, you gotta bring that flame back. You gotta call yourself sexy. You gotta love everything about you. The moment you start doing that, the happier you would be, and it'll actually show. Because at that point, that's like one step further from you not caring what anybody thinks or what anybody says or what anybody does. Anybody says to you, you don't care. Because at this point, believe it or not, for those that are going through it, the people that say stuff about you have insecurities themselves. They cannot deal with whatever they're going through, so they got to take it out on somebody else. And if they can pick that person that looks like they're insecure, they're going to go for it. You notice people never pick on somebody that's so confident. It's hard to talk about a confident person. You walk up to a confident person, they will drill you to death. Because they're happy with themselves. There's nothing you can say to them. That person that's not confident, of course, you know, may not be. They may take it the wrong way. They may take it. It could turn out bad. It could lead to depression, which is not the best thing to do. And that's why, you know, I'm making this episode, because I want to reach those before it even gets to that point. Love yourself. Transform that relationship with yourself. The insecurities. We dislike the way we look. We hate the way we smile. We think we're overweight. It's like an abusive relationship when you think about it. You know, you're talking to that person. I hate the way you smile. I just hate the way you're overweight. Go lose some weight. Go do this. That's that. You know, that's that abusive verbal relationship. You know, that we've heard in our lifetime. You know, whether it be from people we know personally or just, you know. So well, we got social media these days. It's all over the place. So it's kind of like, instead of showing that self-compassion for yourself, you're showing self-sabotage. You're sabotaging your whole being. You're sabotaging what God created. You're created differently from everybody. Everybody. Unless you got a twin, even someone that looks like you is not the same. You're unique. You should love your uniqueness. And embrace it for the most part. Because if you don't, the self-sabotage, as I said before, it leads to depression, a complete shutdown of who you truly are. And the only way to get through, the only way I would say to transform that relationship with yourself and find that self-compassion, man, I would say self-care. There's a lot of things you can do, but when you think about it, the one thing you can do is self-care. And when I'm talking about self-care, I mean self-care. A lot of us don't take care of ourselves. You know, as a man, I used to think getting pedicures was for women. I'd be like, no, I'm not getting no pedicure. Ain't nowhere in the world you about to see me in the salon with my toes out and the lady doing my toes. I used to think that was just for women, but no. And I say that and I look at my feet just all messed up. Toenails looking crazy. So, yes, self-care. You might see me up in there getting that pedicure because you gotta, it's not about what other people are doing. It's about you and what you want to do. It's that self-care. You gotta work out. You gotta get into the gym. At one point I was in the gym. Had a membership with Planet Fitness. Doing my thing. And it is addictive. Once you get into the gym, it's addictive. It's like you can't stop. And then you want to eat healthy. You want to do things to not mess that up. You know, the habits that you have or that you had, you just want to stop. You want to stop those habits. You want to make sure that your body is good. But you can work out. Go get that membership. Simply just walking. Walking is great. That's a start. That's self-care. Just walking. Self-care is the best care. Walk around your block. Walk around the mall. Walk somewhere. A lot of us don't even want to walk these days. You know, like I said, I used to drive trucks. I said this in my earlier episode. But I used to drive trucks for those that are new. And I am currently off the road, spending more time with my kids. And I'm finding myself. I'm still finding myself. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. It's just I've been on the road. A lot of things I missed out on. A lot of things I wanted to do, couldn't do. So when it comes to driving, what I notice when it comes to walking, and that's what I'm talking about. Walking. You know, drivers will park so close to the store, as close as they can. They won't even park into a parking space. They'll park as close as they can, just so they can have that short walk to the to the truck stop. And then the whole back lot be empty. Empty as I don't know what. The whole back lot be empty, because they don't feel like walking. And some of them need to walk. Honestly, some of them need to walk. Need to run for the most part. But let me get back on subject. Walking, working out daily. You know, these are things that are that'll change your mindset towards something more positive in your life. You know, like I said, if you don't like the way you look, you don't like your weight, then do something about it. Start walking, because once you start putting in the effort, once you start trying to make that change, what will happen is your mindset will have a totally different process, totally different mindset. Like you'll be in charge of your body, because you know, we got these voices in our head that tells us one thing and we do another. We have the self-doubt, you know, we have all this stuff that just tells us that, you know, we can't do it, we can't make it, we put stuff off, we make excuses. You can't make an excuse. That's the one thing that a lot of people do, is they make excuses, and it hurts them in the long run. You cannot make excuses. You got to get the job done and get it done good. And go for it, and you can't stop. So, working out daily, and you can't be so hard on yourself. You can't be so hard on yourself. I used to be so hard on myself to the point where I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to socialize. I didn't want to go out. You know, I had started my YouTube channel, probably like 8-9 years ago, it seemed like. Probably longer than that. Got over 200 videos. But you know how long it took for me to just make that first video? I was just so hard on myself. It was so hard. And then I said, F it, man. I'm just gonna do this, man. You know, at this point, now I'm at a point where, you know, I look more at myself rather than the audience, if that makes sense. Everything that I do, whether it be this podcast, whether it be making videos, just dancing on TikTok. I mean, I look at myself, I laugh at myself. When you can laugh at yourself, then that truly means you love yourself. Like, if you can laugh at yourself, then that's good. Instead of being disappointed at yourself and sabotaging yourself and being down and out, if you can get to the point where you can laugh at yourself, and then really you'll be making whatever. I mean, if you're a person that does content or whatever, you're really doing it for yourself. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. There's a billion. Do you guys realize there are a billion people in this world? And you're having self-doubt and wondering what people may think, going into depression, complete shutdown. There are a trillion, there are a trillion people in this world. Do you think that all of these folks are worried about how you look? There's a billion people out here. Oh, but we're worried about how John Doe looks, or how Susie. Oh, Susie, you know, out of all these billion people, look at Susie. No. That's exactly how some of these people think. You cannot think that way. Self-sabotage. You cannot think that way. So like I said, you got to do stuff that brings positive energy to your life, but you have to do it. No one can tell you to do it. You got to do it without being so hard on yourself. You got to take action. The more action you take, the less time you have to doubt and beat yourself up. I mean, we fall behind so much because we can't believe in ourselves. One quote that I saw, or that I constantly see, I see this quote a lot, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Once again, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will, because if you fail, that means at least you tried. But if you doubt yourself, you don't even know the results. You haven't even started yet because you doubted yourself. And that dream is just slowly fading away. So you can't doubt yourself. And like I said, you would never know your potential until you get out there and just jump. Just go for it. You'll never know your potential until you go for it. You know, I always mention what I'm doing. You know, I like to put my personal stories, not personal, but I like to, you know, my personal experiences just in case somebody can relate to it. Like I said, this is my 3rd episode. I plan on doing a whole lot more, but this is my 3rd one. And hey, I'm not gonna stop. I don't really look to see who's listening or how many people are listening. I just love the fact that I started. Because at first I was doubting. I was down myself. But I'm past the doubt part. Now I'm just jumping out there and doing it. And, you know, I pray that it gets bigger. I pray that, you know, more ideas come. I just want to see where this thing goes. And I want to put my whole personality out there. I don't want to hide anything. I don't want to put anything, you know, I don't want to beat around the bush. And I feel like when I do this, I'm kind of being I'm being my true self. Which is crazy. It's crazy to me because if you look at my YouTube videos, I don't think I'm this talkative. I really don't. I don't think I talk this much in my YouTube videos. But for some reason, I don't know, I just love this podcast. But anyway, we're going to get back on subject. Doubt kills. You know, it kills your dream. Love yourself. And just keep loving yourself so you don't fall behind. You ever heard that saying, put me in, coach? And I thought about that. You know how, well, I can't think of the show, but you know you're on the bench. You want to get in the game and you say, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. But the coach ain't going to put you in because, for one, if you ain't doing nothing for yourself, how the coach going to put you in? How you going to get out there and make a move and start running if you're not helping yourself out? And that's what I think about when I say, when I hear that saying, put me in, coach. Because self-doubt will never get you into the game. If you have self-doubt, the coach is not going to put you in. You're not going to put that player in that has self-doubt that feel like they can't make the shot. Or football, this player feel like he can't make that touchdown. No confidence, straight self-doubt, you on the bench. Not putting you in. So, take action. And that action will proceed to that positivity. And that positivity will create this balance in your life to where it's just more positive. The more positive you are, the more positivity you attract. And you know why you would attract that positivity? Because of that inner beauty that you're going to gain. You're going to gain that inner beauty. We all have our inner beauty. Because it's not just about your outside appearance. It's about how you feel on the inside. And you can see that. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You know how you can see somebody walking down the street? And sometimes you can say, okay, yeah, they clearly don't love themselves. What's going on? You know, I don't want to say shy, because shy people, it doesn't mean they don't love themselves, but I mean, it's hard to say. But I know I know some of you can agree with me. I mean, you can, even talking with somebody or getting to know somebody, you can kind of tell someone that doesn't love themselves. But the people that do love themselves, that inner beauty, it comes out. You know, because like I said, it's not about your outer beauty, your appearance. It's all about that inner beauty, your uniqueness, your essence that you feel, your inner critic. Because that's the voices in your head. You got to quiet that inner critic that's telling you that you're not good enough. Quiet that inner critic that's stopping you from building that self-confidence. That's the inner beauty. Self-confidence. That's what it all boils down to. Self-confidence, that inner beauty that you have, will show outside, and people will be able to see that. So pretty much maintain your inner beauty, take care of yourself, drink a lot of water, take your vitamins. We all have our habits. And, habits can deter us. Habits are a distraction. No one's perfect, but habits are a distraction. They can really hold you back. And, when it comes to inner beauty, it's hard to find it if you have these things that are holding you back, whether it be alcohol, drugs, depression. You're depressed about something, which brings me to our past. A lot of us can't really get past a certain trauma that we've had in our past from back in the day. And I always tell people, you'll never forget about it. It's not going to go anywhere. You just can't just throw that trauma away and like it's never happened. But you can move on. You could definitely move on from that trauma, and you could get yourself in a place to where you can now concentrate on yourself and start building changing your relationship around others and moving on with that relationship that you have with yourself. Now, everything that I've talked about, I feel like it is that relationship with yourself, the self-doubt, the self-compassion, taking care of yourself. All this is just a relationship with yourself. That inner beauty. It's finding that relationship within yourself. That's how it will all start. That's how self-love starts, finding that inner beauty and finding that relationship within yourself. And once you see that, and once you start embracing yourself and all the things that you love, everything you like about yourself, you'll start to see that relationship around others. It'll start changing. You'll start creating healthy boundaries. Because we deal with a lot of people, that are toxic. We deal with toxic people. We deal with people that drain us of everything. They're just a drain. But once you start, making that move towards yourself, you'll definitely start changing your boundaries. Your communication will change. You'll attract more supportive relationships. And like I said, relationships, it can be a tough subject, especially when you're dealing with trauma, past wounds and whatnot. I've dealt with people that have had past trauma, and it molded and shaped them for who they are today. And like I said, it's not easy for you to get over trauma, but you can, a person's personality and how they act, for the most part, is based off of that trauma that they've had in the past, or that you've had in the past. If you're listening to this, you are the way you are because of what happened in your past, and you haven't let it go, or you haven't moved on, and it's creating this blockade, I would say, this wall that's keeping you from going out there and being yourself and being free and not caring about anything, really. Ain't that the point you want to get to? Ain't that the point we all want to get to? Just to not care about anything. But that's how the world evolves these days. We care about what other people think. We care about socializing and politics. We care about a lot of stuff instead of doing what we want to do for ourselves. And I can totally understand it's not easy to transform that relationship, with yourself, but you got to start somewhere. Self-love, transformation, you got to start somewhere. And like I said, it's just as easy as start to walk. Just start walking. Now maybe that's your first step. Start walking. Start eating right. Start meditating. Do some yoga. Walk through the forest. Go camp somewhere. Nature. Do something. But you got to start somewhere. Whether it be slowly, I would recommend starting slowly, especially for those that got a lot going on. But you can speed it up and just start, if you can, just start doing your thing. Like I said, find joy in everyday moments. Appreciate the beauty all around you. The trees, the water, the sound of nature, the sun, the moon. Embrace your insecurities. Embrace your perfections. Embrace your flaws. After you have done that, after you have embraced all of that, next thing you do is just start celebrating your wins. Just start celebrating. Start celebrating your wins. And then you will start practicing your self-love, because it does take practice. You got to figure things out. But you'll start practicing self-love through self-celebration. You'll celebrate every moment, every move you make, every step you took to get to where you need to get to. I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast on a positive note with a quote. I like to end my podcast with a quote. Something that's uplifting, something that'll get you guys going. I hope I came with enough energy to get you enough energy to get going today. Especially if you're listening to this in the morning. Even if you're not listening to the morning, if you're listening to this late at night, you better wake up and you better go do something with yourself. That's something your grandmother would say. Go do something with yourself. Go do something with yourself. I tell my kids that all the time. Go do something with yourself. You better wake up and go do something with yourself. But here's the quote. This quote is by Roy Bennett. Believe in yourself, your abilities, and your potential. Your own potential. Never let self-doubt hold you captive. You are worthy of all that you dream and hope for. The most important, end quote, that was by Roy Bennett. And so to end this podcast, I just want to say the most important person for you to impress is yourself. And if you convince yourself that then you can convince the world. So strengthen your mind. Say things out loud to yourself to create that double reinforcement. Because, like I said, your ears hear your voice giving that order to make that move. So make that move today. Thanks for listening. And tune into my next podcast. And make sure y'all follow me on Instagram at Mike Lana. You can follow me on Tic Tok at Mike Lana. And you can listen to this podcast on Iheart Radio, on Apple, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. So make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all subscribe if you haven't. And you can also follow me on YouTube as well, at Mike Lana. You can just go to Google if you want. Just put in Mike Lana and you'll find me. Thank y'all for listening. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.